All right, so the other team here, the Giants, everybody was abuzz over their selection of Daniel Jones in terms of that quarterback battle. What have you been hearing, Adam?
Hey, today he went through a run-pass option where he ran 30 yards downfield, and I think he surprised a lot of people there. I think that was something that impressed them. It wasn't something they were expecting to see. But look, here's the deal. Whether they took him at 6 or 17 or 30, where they took DeAndre Baker, the fact of the matter is if he develops into the type of quarterback that they hope and believe he can be, then nobody's going to remember where they took him. But again, they've got to get him there. It's going to be a work in progress, but there's really no rush with Eli Manning there right now. And so, again, they'd like to get him there. And if he becomes that quarterback, I think everybody in New York will be a little bit happier than they are right now.
And Adam, go ahead.
So what, becoming that quarterback won't happen until we get to the season? Like, is there a scenario where he impresses this much before we get to the season?
No, I think it's going to be Eli Manning's job this season. Now, if all of a sudden the Giants are 2-8, have a losing record into November and December, I think then the conversation changes. But I think they go into the season with the idea and the hope that Eli Manning is going to be their quarterback this season, that they won't have to turn to Daniel Jones. Now, if they're losing games and they're not competitive and they're knocked out of the playoff race, then it becomes a different issue and a different question. But for the time being, I believe that they're counting on Eli Manning to be their starting quarterback going in, and the plan would be to stick with him. Now, whether they do that or not, we'll see how the season unfolds.
And Adam, of course, another major storyline here for the Giants. Odell Beckham is in Cleveland. Your assessment of the impact on the Giants and also on the Browns?
Listen, the Giants really seem determined to deal him, and that is evident in the fact that they moved him on the very first day of the new league year, March 13th. They didn't even wait to field offers up into the draft. That was because they felt like they had an offer that they really were comfortable with from the Cleveland Browns. And so the Giants went and got Jabril Peppers. They got Dexter Lawrence. They made some picks here that basically they believe and hope will help compensate for the loss of Odell Beckham Jr. He's such a dynamic, electric player. I think that they were growing a little tired of Odell, having him around. They wanted to move on from him. Again, we're going to find out. They're not going to replace that talent, but sometimes it's about more than talent, and we'll see how that plays out.
All right, so Odell was one of those blockbuster moves this offseason. Who, in your opinion, Adam, had the best offseason?
Well, that's a tough question to answer, especially on June 4th. You have to see how this all plays out. And really, the truth of the matter is, just because a team had a great offseason doesn't ensure that it will go ahead and have a great regular season. These are things that are done over time. Franchises are not built in an offseason. That's just not the way that free agency operates, and it takes time to grow these draft picks. But I think if you're looking at what these teams are, the Jets looked like they had a good, strong offseason. The Giants did get some talent, but they made some big, major shake-up moves that obviously not every Giant fan was happy to see. Listen, there are a lot of teams that made a lot of moves. I'm hesitant to anoint one in the first week in June to say they won the offseason, because the truth of the matter is it doesn't matter what you say in the offseason. It's all about what happens in the regular season.
Adam, there's always off-the-field issues that you're following. Where does the labor situation stand in your estimation at this point?
It's going to be complicated here. You've already heard that the NFL Players Association has recommended to its players that it begin saving its paychecks, which, again, we've heard this before, other previous collective bargaining negotiations, and you're hearing talk from the NFL about having a shorter preseason, maybe a longer regular season, 18 games, maybe a longer postseason where we have 7 teams in each conference as opposed to 6, and there's only 1 bye per conference as opposed to 2, and then you play out the postseason. The bottom line here is these are all chips in the upcoming negotiation for the new CBA that right now is scheduled to expire after the 2020 season. The NFL, the NFLPA, they have a lot of work to do. I think it's going to be a difficult, challenging negotiation. It always is. And obviously, a lot of people are buckling down. The league would like to get it done as soon as possible. I just don't see this moving very quickly.
We'll all certainly be watching that. Adam, today we've been having this conversation about starstruck moments. So we're going to pivot a little bit here. What is, or do you have, a starstruck moment?
Wow. Caught me off guard there. I remember one time I was walking in New York City and I turned the corner and literally bumped head on into Steven Spielberg. And I would say that would be something that left me a little bit starstruck. And I think at this stage of the game, when I'm an old man, you don't get starstruck as often as you do. I've never, unlike so many people at ESPN, I've never had the pleasure of meeting the President of the United States, a former President of the United States. We had Barack Obama in the house in Toronto the other night. I see Stephen A. Smith shaking his hand and Michael Wilbon talking to him. I've never had the pleasure to meet a former or current president. So, again, that might get me starstruck, but it's never happened. So if any president wants to invite me to the White House for whatever they want to talk to me about, I'm always open to that.
He may want some NFL inside information. There's still time. You never know.
Hey, if they need help with their fantasy football draft this upcoming summer, I'm in.
There you go. There you go.
Adam, so good of you to join us. Thank you so much.
Bill, Monica, thanks very much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, Adam Schefter, the great NFL insider for ESPN. For more great videos from the MSG 150, check out right there. And remember, our show is on Monday through Thursday, 8 to 10:30 p.m. on MSG Network and MSG Go.